Hi friends, before my arms give out, let's talk about my 2026 reading goals and plans and challenges I want to set myself for this year. So if you've been watching my channel, hello, welcome back. If you're new, welcome, I'm glad to have you. Check out some of my other videos if you fancy it. So if you have been here before, you'll already know I am doing 75 booked for the first 75 days of 2026. It's a reading challenge where you don't buy any books or acquire any new books for 75 days. You read every day for 2 45-minute stints or more, and the aim is also to stay hydrated while you're reading, so good for your physical and your mental health, and hopefully good for your bank balance by not acquiring new books at the same time. So that's my first challenge that I'm doing. I've already started that one. I am about 9 days in at this point and really enjoying it. It's going well. Check out my video for my first 7 days if you want to hear something more in depth. But I am hoping that if I get on well with this challenge, I might do it a couple of times this year. So whenever my TBR starts to get a bit out of control, or I want to prioritize certain books and certain series, I'll probably go back to this challenge and see if I can tackle it multiple times. Let's see. The other theme of this year for me is going to be, how to phrase this, the year of the epic books, or the year of the big, ginormous, back-breaking series. We're fantasy readers, come on, a lot of series are like that. We like a chunky book, we like a long series. Standalones, they're okay, but it's all about the series and the character depth, really, isn't it? And that is what I am here for this year. So my priority read of this year, number one, above all else, is going to be finishing The Realm of the Elderlings. I am, let's see, I am 11 books into that series. I am just about to start the Rainwild Chronicles, which is 4 books, and then I have the Fitz and the Fool trilogy left, and I am finished with that series. I'm actually going to be devastated when I finish that world. I've been deep in that world for months now, and I'm just going to be so upset when it's over because Robin Hobb, what have you done to me? You've just pulled me in with these amazing characters, and I think this might be a bold statement considering I've not finished it yet, but I think it might be the best series I've ever read as a fantasy reader. I know that's shocking because Lord of the Rings, but it's a fantastic series. If you haven't read The Realm of the Elderlings, this is the last book, by the way, don't start with this one. You start off with this trilogy behind me. So this is the Farseer trilogy. You start off with Assassin's Apprentice, and you follow Fitz, who is a young boy. He is an illegitimate son of the prince who is next in line for the throne, who then abdicates his role because of the scandal of having an illegitimate child. And obviously Fitz is not eligible for the throne himself and becomes a king's man, which is essentially an assassin for the king. But Fitz also is a magic user of 2 different types of magic. He has the skill, which is a magic associated with the royal family, and he has the wit, which is a magic where, to say you can talk to animals kind of dumbs it down a bit. It's almost like you have an extra sense. You can sense how animals are feeling. You can commune with them on a much deeper level than your average person, and you can form a very close bond, which is almost like a sibling or a marriage bond, that level of commitment and love to a particular animal that is receptive to you. So we follow him for the first trilogy, and then we branch off into the Live Ship Trader trilogy, which is this one here behind me. And there we follow a cast of characters on the other side of the world to Fitz, who is in the Six Duchies. This one follows live ship traders, which are men and women who sail on ships made of wizard wood, which is ships that the figureheads come to life after a couple of generations have sailed their ships, and they are wise with the wisdom of all of the people that have been aboard them over the years. It also features dragons. I don't really want to go too much more into detail than that. I know this is a very wishy-washy summary and somebody more eloquent could probably put it better, but if I tell you too much, it will be spoilers for the rest of the series. You're better off going into this bit kind of blind. I would recommend you start with the Farseer trilogy. Some people say you can start with the Live Ship Traders. They happen on a very similar time frame, so pick which appeals to you most, but please pick up this series. Join me in my suffering for these characters as I make my way towards Assassin's Fate, which is a really beautiful book as well. Just as an aside, I love the continuity of all of the spines of these books, and they do look really pretty on a shelf, but that's not a good reason to pick them up. The best reason is the character writing. So next up are some shameful books for me. I am woefully behind the times with reading some of my epic fantasy series. So these 4 are also high priority first books for me to read this year. So first up we have The Grace of Kings, which is a silk punk fantasy epic. It's 4 books, I believe, and I believe it's an epic not in the length of the series, but in the breadth of the world and the length of time over this world. I believe it spans decades, if not centuries of time, and is a very politics heavy fantasy, which I love. I love political machinations. It's just one of those things that I really enjoy in a fantasy book, and I've heard amazing things about these books, so I will definitely be picking up The Grace of Kings as another priority book this year. Next up, please don't shout at me as a fantasy fan, but it is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. I've read so much Brandon Sanderson. I have read his sci-fi books, I have read Mistborn, I've read Warbreaker, I've read loads of Brandy Sandy, and I've just never picked up the Stormlight Archive, because frankly these books are quite scary. They're so big on my shelves that books 2 and books 3 are split into 2 books apiece because they're so massive. So I do really want to read this because I'm not usually intimidated by epics, but there's just something about this one that just, I don't know, it just frightens me a little bit. But I'm sure once I'm into it, I will really love it because everybody really loves these, and it is Brandon Sanderson's magnus opus, really. And I know it's incomplete. We have 5 books so far, and he's taking a break before he does the next 5 books, because I think it's going to be a 10-book series. But I am going to pick this up, and knowing me, I'll pick up book 1, and when I next look up from my reading, I will be in book 5. So let me know if you think I'm going to enjoy this one, and please don't shout at me that I haven't read it yet. If you're also like me and you haven't read this yet and you want to do a buddy read for accountability, please let me know, because I'm more than happy to buddy read this with somebody so that we can wade our way through this massive world together. Next up is one that intimidates everybody, so I'm not alone with this one, and this is Malazan, Book of the Fallen, Book 1, Gardens of the Moon. I have heard that this is a really hard book to read, that people get bogged down, and if you make it to book 3, it flies and it's amazing. I'm hoping that I'm going to love this, because people have said the same to me about other series, that I won't enjoy them, that they'll be boring, that they'll be complicated, I won't get it, and then I love it. So I think I'm going to really love this one. I like a complex book with a lot of characters, and I've heard the character work with this is phenomenal. So let's see how we go. I think I'm going to love this one. And again, if you fancy a buddy read, or you want me to do a reading vlog of any of these, let me know. Next up is The Wheel of Time. Now, as a disclaimer, I have got to this far into The Wheel of Time, and I had to put it down because I was reading it when I was out in London for the day, and I had a lot of train rides to do, and it kept making me cry in public, and I'm an ugly crier, so I had to put this down as one that I'm just going to read at home, where I am away from the public eye. But again, The Wheel of Time is just one of those fantasy epic staples, and I already love this series, and I'm only maybe a third of the way through the first one, which is The Eye of the World. I've heard it can get a bit sloggy in the middle, but I think as long as you kind of push through those books and you know that there's going to be a bit of a lull and then a rise again, you should be fine with books like that. It's like life. Life does have its periods where there are things that need to happen and take a bit more time. It's not all go, go, go all the time. And it allows the characters to really develop, I've heard. So Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time, high on my priority list this year. I don't think I'll finish this series this year. I think what I'll probably do is finish The Realm of the Elderlings and then dive into The Wheel of Time and just read my way through it, maybe a book a month, and see how I go. And next is two really, really big books, but one of them is a first book in a trilogy that will be Era 2, and that is The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. I love V.E. Schwab. She's one of my favourite authors. I have read nearly everything she's written. I like to keep 2 books by V.E. Schwab in reserve that I haven't read yet, because if I'm in a reading slump or I just need something that I'm going to know that I'll dive straight into and get really drawn in immediately, V. Schwab is that go-to author for me. She's publishing 2 new books in 2026, one under a pseudonym with a second author, and one is the final book in the Villains trilogy. So I've kept this book in reserve to read when I know I'll have more V. Schwab to read. This is the second trilogy in the Darker Shade of Magic series. I read those first 3 books as they came out and they were absolutely phenomenal. I believe this follows somewhat a new cast of characters with cameos from the characters from the first trilogy, and I know it's a big book, and again, look at these beautiful spines, but I think I'm going to love this. So for those of you that don't know, I wouldn't recommend starting with this one. Start with A Darker Shade of Magic. It is a urban fantasy set across multiple Londons. So there's Red London, White London, Grey London, and Black London. And the magic system is that there are very few individuals that can cross between these Londons, and they're called the Antari. And there is a power struggle going on between one London and another. And at the centre of this are 2 Antaris and a girl called Lila Bard who gets caught up in the middle of all of this. It features really bizarre magic and amazing character work. It has a smidge of romance, but it's kind of a extra bit, not a major plot point. And the main character, Kel, has a coat that is magical. And who doesn't love a magical coat? I feel like ever since I've been reading fantasy, whenever there's a magical coat or some form of magical garment, I'm there for it. It's a bit of a weird trope to like, but there you go. If that intrigues you, please pick that up also. Sorry, this is getting a bit rambly as I do more of an in-depth talk about the books than I planned. But finally, on my big books list is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I read Priory of the Orange Tree when it first came out. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot less dense of a read than I thought it was going to be. I flew through it quite quickly, and then I just didn't pick up the prequel book. I really like Samantha Shannon's writing. I know this is massive, but it won't take me very long, I don't think, if Priory of the Orange Tree is anything to go by. So I will be reading this one this year just to kind of complete the world for myself and get a bit more backstory of a world that I was very intrigued by when I first entered it. So that is the year of the epics out of the way. Another reading challenge that I want to give myself that you've probably already seen in my January TBR is I want to read the entirety of the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So I have the first 3 here. There are more on my shelves. I do not have them all, but I will be acquiring them after 75 books. So Shadowhunters is a series that I started reading probably when I was a late teenager. So if you were a teenager in the 2000s, you all know all about Shadowhunters. It was the series to be reading, and kind of alongside the whole Twilight, Night World, Divergent, Hunger Games era of books. This is urban fantasy for young adult at its finest. It has heartthrobs, it has demons, it has werewolves, it has vampires, it has teenage angst. What more could you want? And Cassandra Clare is publishing a new series within the Shadowhunter world this year. So I thought, because I'm crazy, let's reread all 21 books before that comes out. They look like big books. They're really not. You fly through them super quick. They're very fun. I'm hoping I'm going to enjoy the nostalgia factor and just have them as light, fluffy reads in between all of my epics. And then when the new book comes out, I will do a reading vlog so you can get my first-hand notes on what I think. of the new Shadowhunter books. My husband thinks I'm going to give myself a Shadowhunter overdose and that I will give up halfway through, but I'm determined to prove him wrong. I am going to read all these books, all 21 of them, and you guys will watch me do it. So other than that, I don't really have any specific reading goals for the year aside from just reading my TBR. I have not a huge physical TBR, but sizable enough that I can easily do 75 booked multiple times and probably not get through every book that I have on my shelves. I don't think I have any other rereads planned for this year. I'm mostly trying to get to fantasy that's been on my list for a very long time. I would like to delve a little more into sci-fi this year. I haven't read a lot of sci-fi. The sci-fi that I have read has been very classic sci-fi heavy. I'm a big H.G. Wells fan and I have read all of H.G. Wells's work. But aside from that, I've only really dabbled in sci-fi with a little bit of Terry Pratchett, a little bit of Brandon Sanderson sci-fi. So roaming into more sci-fi would be quite fun. I'm thinking that the Murderbot Diaries could be a really good place for me to start because I've read book 1 in December and it was fun, it was quirky, it was easy reading. So let's do a soft launch of sci-fi for the channel, I think. I do read some classics as well. I've been a big classics fan in the past. Victorian Gothic literature is my favourite subgenre within the classics world. I also really love Russian literature. And I am doing a Jane Austen specific 10-week long course with Oxford University. So there will be some classics sprinkled in as well. So if you're here for that, let me know. And if there's anything you particularly want me to make video-wise with guides to reading classic literature, let me know. Equally, if there are guides for fantasy that you want me to make, I'm happy to do those as well. Sci-fi, I am not qualified to make a guide for. So if you want me to guide you in sci-fi, you are looking at the wrong person, but I will read some sci-fi and to let you know what I think. I'm thinking of doing some of the Goodreads types challenges. I know Goodreads is a bit controversial, but I quite like Goodreads format. So I find it really easy to track my books on there, keep track of what I own, what I want to read, what I've thought of them. It's a very easy to use interface, and it does have a few little challenges and prompts within it seasonally to read past book club picks, past Goodreads award winners, and I might try and sprinkle a few of those in with my challenges as well, because I know that Blood Over Bright Haven is one of the books that can be used as a prompt, and I know that Brandon Sanderson's Tress of the Emerald Sea is one, and that is also on my TBR, so I think I'll try and sprinkle that in. I have made a Goodreads reading goal of 50 books total, and then within my Kindle a sub goal of 12 Kindle books. So I'll let you know throughout the year how I get on with those, but those are kind of soft challenges that I'm doing. They're not things that I'm going to be prioritizing massively. My main priority is going to be reading more of the epic fantasy, because epic fantasy is what I love to read the most within the fantasy genre. But if there is anything that you guys want me to cover or that you don't enjoy seeing, please let me know in the comments. I have to do the thing, like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos and you want me to make more. I'm always happy to chat about books as well. So if you guys wanted a Discord or anything like that, just let me know. But for now, happy reading.